Hello, my name is Christine DiCarlo, and I'm the Senior Manager of Media and Public Affairs with the American Association of Colleges of Osteopathic Medicine, or AACOM. Today, I'm speaking with two representatives from the University of North Texas Health Science Center at Fort Worth, Texas College of Osteopathic Medicine, or UNTHSC TCOM, about an impressive $148.78 million grant from the National Institutes of Health to research the biology of Alzheimer's in ethnically diverse groups. This grant will fund one of the biggest studies ever of Alzheimer's disease and is the largest grant in UNTHSC TCOM history. The results of this large-scale investigation have the potential to drastically change the trajectory of Alzheimer's treatment through the study's groundbreaking health disparities framework. Congratulations to both of you on this funding, and thank you for taking the time to speak with me today about this truly transformative project. Let's begin with some brief introductions.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Frank Filipetto, currently the Dean of the Texas College of Osteopathic Medicine at the University of North Texas Health Science Center.
My name is Dr. Sid O'Bryant. I am the Executive Director for the Institute for Translational Research at University of North Texas Health Science Center, and I'm a professor in the Texas College of Osteopathic Medicine. I am also the PI of the Health and Aging Brain Study Health Disparities, which is the most comprehensive, robust study of brain aging among diverse communities in history ever, anywhere. So we're honored to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and congratulations. That's a very exciting project and a really impressive accomplishment. So we're excited to talk to you. So our first question for you is, how did you become interested in studying Alzheimer's and other neurodegenerative diseases?
Yeah, this is a personal journey for me. I was in the middle of my training. I'm a neuropsychologist by training and was working in my training at a VA in Albany, New York, and started seeing firsthand, this is pre-Gulf War. So I was seeing a lot of patients being referred for memory loss. And what I saw was it took a long time to get to any sort of specialist and get a diagnosis. And at the same time, I got a call from my parents in Louisiana, some 1,500 miles away, that my grandmother was having issues. And so after working with them to get a diagnosis and therapeutics initiated, et cetera, I got to see firsthand how just the system for getting a diagnosis was such a difficult journey and an incredibly expensive journey. And then, seeing it firsthand, seeing how my grandmother decayed. I remember the day I walked into my family's house visiting, and my grandmother looked at me and started crying. I was the grandbaby. I was the youngest grandchild, very close to my grandmother. And she knew me, but didn't know who I was. And from that point, I decided that was going to be my life's journey. And anyone who walks in my office, or pictures right there, stays in my office with me as a reminder of why I do this.
Oh, wow. Thank you for sharing that. That's really meaningful. And I'm sure you get a lot of value from your research, from getting to do that every day.
I still get emotional talking about it. And these days I get emotional because I know she's very proud. I'll always feel like I failed her. And I feel like as a medical community, we can do better, and we don't have to keep failing our patients. Especially those from underserved communities and poor communities, we can do so much better, and that's why we do it.
So our next question, as the largest grant the University of North Texas system has received, what does this funding mean for the institution?
This is a transformational opportunity that we've actually have the opportunity to embark on. This grant is actually going to change, when you think about it, the trajectory of Alzheimer's disease research. But more importantly, it's going to really address health disparities and link both health disparities and the research of Alzheimer's disease together. So I think it has great opportunity for really changing the way we look at Alzheimer's disease and really changing the world.
So our next question, Dr. O'Bryant, how did you hear about this grant opportunity, and what motivated you to apply for funding?
This project began when I moved to TCOM in 2012. So we've been doing this for a decade now. We've been in the community doing this approach. And before this grant, we had already received $60 million in NIH funding for the cohort. So this grant is actually an expansion and continuation of the project. And so this is one of those grants that there was no standing opportunity for. We had built such a strong foundation. The front runners at publishing in Mexican American brain aging for a very long time. And I've personally been doing health disparities work since '96, and so that's where I've been in the space. And so what happened was we continued to build this foundation, demonstrate that race, ethnicity, culture, where you grow up are very important factors to consider in brain aging. And, to date, there had never been a large-scale comprehensive study of the biology of Alzheimer's disease across diverse communities within a health disparities framework. And so all of that come together of basically, all of the science we've already demonstrated, having over 3,000 people already in the study. And that's what led us to being able to even propose a study like this. It took a while, but we got here based on that initial start when we came here to TCOM in 2012, and just we've always been in the community, and that's what led us to being able to do this. And now the NIH has they've invested in it, and this is something that they expect to go for 20, 30, 40 years, so we can really understand the life course of how the brain ages among diverse communities.
So Dr. Filipetto, how does TCOM support students who are interested in academic medicine?
So again, when you look at our history at TCOM, I would say that the large majority of our students participate in some form of research during their time here as a medical student at TCOM, and we do that in several ways. So we offer different types of opportunities. So we have students who may spend a short period of time performing research with one of our faculty. We're fortunate enough here at HSC to have several schools and a graduate school, as well as obviously our medical schools. So they have access to all these faculty who are excellent researchers. We have opportunities where students can spend an entire summer. They can spend the entire 4 years, for example, doing research with one of our faculty. We've created opportunities related to specific specialties. For example, our Department of Pediatrics, our Department of Geriatrics, our Department of Family Medicine and OMM. They have specific research projects in those particular areas. So we do our best to actually match up our students with their interests. And typically we're able to do that with the faculty here on campus, as well as our adjunct faculty in the community. So again, students can participate on a very simple, straightforward research project that may take them a couple months. They can participate in our dual degree programs. So we have a dual degree PhD program. But we also just recently created what we call a research micro-credential. So that's somewhere in between just participating in research and actually getting your PhD program. So a research micro-credential is a more sophisticated kind of opportunity to do research and present research both locally and nationally. So and they're able to declare that on their CVs or in their portfolios. It makes them a little bit more competitive for when they seek GME opportunities. So we're really proud.
Yeah, that's excellent. It sounds like you all are offering a wide spectrum of opportunities. So that's great to hear. The next question, how will you investigate the social and cultural factors that may be contributing to Alzheimer's disease? And why is it so important to research this from a sociocultural perspective?
For the longest time, there was, or it has been in some areas still is, just this general assumption of a true wall between the central and peripheral nervous systems. So that what happens in the brain is independent of what happens in the rest of the body. And that those things that happen exterior aren't really related to central things. And, that's just not the case. And so, we began studying a variety of things associated with this. And we found all of these things that question the general assumptions of the foundations of what the disease is. And one of the things early on we found was different medical comorbidities, which is already, well known and well documented. And so what we thought was these differential environmental and sociocultural factors have to play a role.
So AACOM is actively working to increase NIH osteopathic representation and research. So what advice would you share with other colleges of osteopathic medicine that are interested in NIH funding?
That's a great question, because I know that College of Osteopathic Medicines are underrepresented in NIH portfolios. And I don't really understand why that's the case, because, my experience at TCOM, this is an amazing medical school with fantastic educators, fantastic clinicians, fantastic scientists. I think one of the things that I suggest to people all the time is, one, where is it you're unique? What is it that you can do that addresses an important health question that isn't currently being addressed? And so I've been doing health disparities research for a very long time. And so I knew there was a niche for the funding. Then the second spot to me, which is important, is partner. Find collaborators that have existing infrastructure and existing funding. And finally, my third piece of advice is you have to build it first. So if you want to do this, whatever niche it is you find, you can create the collaborative team. In order to go in for these grants, you need to already have something in place. You don't want to go to the NIH and ask to build a cohort. You want to go to the NIH to ask to expand and continue a cohort. Those would be my three pieces of advice. And, the fourth is just be patient. Go after what's important. Don't chase funding. Go after what is important. Like for me, this is a personal journey. And, you want to find the right teams, the right topics, the right things to go after, because at the end of the day, it's about helping patients. I don't care about funding or publications. That's not a relevant metric for me. What's a metric for me is, do we help patients, and are we going to change the field? Because the field needs to be changed. And the answers to those questions are unequivocally yes. We're already changing the world when you consider Alzheimer's. So that's generally the approach that I think groups should take.
The first thing that I would recommend is I think we have to identify, focus, and invest strategically in a particular strength that a school has, and make sure that that particular area is innovative and aligned with what the NIH priorities are. So, and we have to think about what impact that will actually make on society. So again, strategically plan and strategize of how you're going to approach this. The second thing I would recommend is you have to build a foundational framework and infrastructure. And you need institutional support to do that because, right, you have to demonstrate to the NIH that you're competent in what you're doing, that you're committed to what you're doing, and you have the ability to deliver on what you're saying you're going to deliver on. And I think the third thing is we have to learn to collaborate. So we have to build very strong collaborations with groups and institutions that have NIH funding programs, right? This is a team sport. And if we can work collaboratively with some of the more successful institutions or colleges and mentor and share resources, I think we all rise to the top.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you for that advice. I know that that'll be really useful for other comms that are interested in doing this type of research too, or NIH research too. So AACOM recently launched a critically important program dedicated to supplementing instruction around health equity and health disparities. Why is health equity so important from both an education and a research perspective?
I think that is the single most important topic that is being ignored. And so I love what AACOM is doing, because in the absence of understanding where your patient came from, you can't help your patient. You know, I need to understand not only where do they come from so I can understand what's going on with this patient's journey, but where am I sending them off to? And so these health inequities, they are the responsibility of the medical and scientific community. And I feel very strongly on that. Health disparities and health inequities are our fault. It's our job to deal with it. It's not the community's job to go figure it out. It's our job to deal with it. And so teaching this to the next generation of healthcare providers is of tremendous importance.
Well, I think if as a medical school or as physicians or future physicians, right? Obviously, we want to keep folks healthy. We want to address health. And typically, I truly believe that what we traditionally do in medical education or in the healthcare system has been really limited to really making a small dent in trying to address how we keep people healthy or make people healthy, right? So, and a lot of that is based on things that perhaps we haven't taught our students or expected our physicians to address from the standpoint of health disparities. There are reasons why that there are certain communities or certain groups have health disparities. And we really need to do a better job at explaining that to our students, but more so, not just explaining them, really empowering them with tools that they can address it and become innovative enough so that when they're out there as leaders that they're able to fix the system, right? So one of the things we're really dedicated a lot on here at TCOM at HSC is health disparities. We see it in our community. We have it in our own backyard here that certain groups, again, don't have the health outcomes that we would expect them to have. And those social determinants of health have to be addressed. So, so we have to teach those things, but more so we have to empower our future providers and our osteopathic students with a skill set that allows them to solve those problems and innovate.
Thanks so much again, Dr. O'Brien and Dr. Filipetto, for speaking with me today about this innovative, revolutionary investigation, and congratulations once again on the award. I know that everyone in the osteopathic medical education community will be looking forward to the groundbreaking results this study will surely have for Alzheimer's patients of all backgrounds.